was not ivory tower theorizing, it was meant to be applied to life. As existentialists, he and Beauvoir refused any notion of human nature. As philosophers, they challenged all social conventions. Nobody was going to tell them how to live their lives, not even their love life. They were conscious of inventing their relationship as they went along. They rejected marriage. They never lived together. They openly had other lovers. They were often friends with each other's lovers. On occasion, they shared them. Their original agreement, not conveyed to the third parties involved, was that whereas their other loves would be secondary, theirs would be absolute. Sartre and Beauvoir spent their lives grappling with questions of ethics and morality. How were they to make the best use of their liberty? At first, they were preoccupied with individual freedom. Later, they were highly critical of this rather prolonged early period, which they looked back upon as their irresponsible youth. The Second World War made them conscious of history. In 1945, they established Les Temps Modernes, a journal that would have a major impact on intellectual life in France, Europe, and even the Third World. From that time on, they became public intellectuals who wrote committed literature and embraced political engagement. They never forgot that they had choices to make, and that freedom comes with responsibility. They discussed these questions constantly. Which of the possible actions before them would be most responsible? What would be the consequences of acting in this way rather than that way? Sartre, in particular, a passionate advocate of world peace and socialism, grappled with the big question of the day, communism. In the 1950s and 1960s, both took courageous stands against the Algerian and Vietnam Wars. Sartre's writings on colonialism and racism made him a spokesman for the anti-colonial struggle. With The Second Sex, Beauvoir wrote what is generally regarded as the founding text of the modern women's movement. Never for a second did Sartre and Beauvoir, in their relationship with each other, stop living as writers. It was a total commitment, every moment of the day. They promised to tell each other everything, down to the smallest detail. Turning life into narrative was perhaps their most voluptuous pleasure. As Roquentin reflects in Sartre's novel Nausea, for the most banal event to become an adventure, you must begin to recount it. It was impossible to say which was the more satisfying for Sartre and Beauvoir, the voyeuristic thrill of hearing about each other's life, or the cozy enjoyment of narrating their own. Both were heavily imbued with what Sartre called the biographical illusion, the idea that a lived life can resemble a recounted life. Already in their adolescence, they dreamed of their future lives, as if through the eyes of posterity. I was extremely conscious of being the young Sartre, in the same way that people speak of the young Berlioz, or the young Goethe, Sartre writes. Beauvoir imagined people poring over the narrative of her life, as she did with the lives of Emily Bronte, George Eliot, and Catherine Mansfield. I wanted people to read my biography and find it touching and strange. Along with their myth-making impulse went a passionate belief in truth-telling. To them, the notion of privacy was a relic of bourgeois hypocrisy. Why keep secrets? As they saw it, their task as intellectuals was to probe beneath the surfaces, plumb the depths of experience, debunk myths, and communicate unvarnished truths to their readers. They often said they would like the public to know the truth about their personal lives. It wouldn't occur to me to get rid of letters and documents concerning my private life, Sartre said. So much the better if this means I will be transparent to posterity. I think that transparency should always be substituted for secrecy. Both remarked in interviews that they would have liked to have been more open about their own sexuality, and the only thing that held them back was that other people were involved. When Beauvoir was 70, the German feminist Alice Schwarzer asked her if there was anything she had not written in her memoirs that she would say now if she could write them again.